went to see W.A.S.P live, and as much as I loved the show, something felt fake. Was this really live or was it on tape? To be honest, I had really low expectations to the show given Blackie Lawless' previous health problems. I expected the guy barely being able to move, maybe even using crutches on stage. But Blackie could move, but he still had crutches, but those crutches were backing tracks. And standing there watching this and listening to it made me think about the state of live music right now, because the use of backing tracks seems to be growing. My immediate reaction is that I'm totally against the use of backing tracks, but then I started thinking about it a little bit more. And in this video I want to discuss the case for and against the use of backing track based on my experience of this concert with W.A.S.P. W.A.S.P are on this Album 1 Alive tour where they play their debut album from start to finish, plus a few hits as encore. And to be honest, on this concert the sound was great, the crowd was on fire, the show was cool, and all the songs hit hard. And a 69-year-old Blackie Lawless with a history of serious health issues was all over the stage with way more energy than I expected. But after a while it just felt too perfect, and when they played Love Machine I noticed something. The vocal track kept playing when Blackie moved away from the mic. It left me torn because as much as I loved the show and had fun there, I had this nagging doubt. How much of this is real and how much is recorded? So I spent a few hours checking out videos from concerts from 2-3 years ago and all the videos that I shot there, and sure enough, W.A.S.P are using backing tracks. And this is where the debate kicks in. Are backing tracks some sort of a cheating, or is it just part of modern day live music? I mean, for sure there are obvious things like the fact that they can actually deliver the album sound. It keeps aging bands on stage longer than they otherwise do, but where is the line? When does it go too far? Let's look at the case for the use of backing tracks. And the first thing is that an album is more complex because you can layer the guitars, multiple recordings, you can layer the vocals, you can have all sorts of soundscapes. So if you want to give the fans the sound of the album that they know, you're going to need some extras. Now this ties to the first part because obviously to recreate that sound, the band could just tour with more members, have more guitar players and more backing vocals and keyboards and stuff like that. But that would probably not make sense from a financial perspective. Now using click tracks and backing tracks also improves the quality of the delivery and reduces the number of mistakes that you can do because everyone has the same stuff in their ears. Now using backing tracks keeps legends touring more frequently and extends their touring life. I mean, look at Blackie as an example. He's almost 70 years old, had a lot of health issues, but those backing tracks allow him to focus on his stage presence without straining his voice too much. To their credit, they have actually openly admitted that they use backing tracks for vocals and effects. Not on the lead singing, he claims, I doubt that, and they say that they do it to match the album sound.
There's been a lot of use of backing tracks and lip syncing on this tour, and I want to know what your response to that is.
To answer your question, yes, we are using backing tracks. When we started supplementing it sounded better. If I'm a fan and I'm coming to a show, I want that thing to sound as good as it can.
So as you can see, there can be a number of reasons why a band would choose to do this. But there are also a number of reasons why bands should not do this. So let's look at the case against the use of backing tracks. You and me, we buy tickets to concerts to see a real-time live experience. And backing tracks, especially for vocals, they feel like a lie. I mean, we've all seen the buzz around bands like Mötley Crüe and Kiss, where I think actually this use has harmed the legacy of those bands. Backing tracks lock bands into a tempo and a flow, eliminating the chance for improvisation and jams and stuff like that. And that is kind of the core of metal and rock. I mean, imagine if Made in Japan by Deep Purple would have been made with backing tracks. There would be no jams. The album would be so short that it would fit on an EP. Now the thing is, nobody wants to be lied to, nobody wants to be fooled. So when we find out that this is the case, it can easily feel like the band is just doing a cash grab. Now for us metal and rock fans, We always believed that our stuff was real. It was the pop stars that were using miming and technology. So in some way, using these backing tracks, it feels like we're betraying the roots of rock and metal. And it's quite telling that this is so common now that we actually find it weird when bands don't use anything, like W.A.S.P. They're kind of analog with little or no assistance, but they're proving that raw rock and roll and metal performances are possible. Using backing tracks like this can make bands very dependent on them. I mean, if you listen to modern day metal, like metalcore, it's all tracks somehow, and you're always watching this and thinking, what are they actually playing and what's on the tape? And it's crazy. I saw this band Hanabi, the Japanese band. They couldn't play because their backing track didn't start. Imagine being on stage with all your instruments and you can't play your music because a tape recorder doesn't work. Metal rock has always been about more than just the music. It's also about the spectacle, the costumes and the show. I mean, look at Rammstein, Alice Cooper, Iron Maiden, Metallica, and maybe backing tracks are kind of part of these props. I mean, they're not real, but they're part of the experience. But the million-dollar question is, when does this go too far? Is it when the band is playing only 30% of what you hear, or 50% of what you hear, or 70%? I don't know the exact answer to that, but here are my 2 cents. Part of me hates this. I feel like we're cheating the core of rock and roll and metal. But in some cases I will actually take the trade-off, because if this allows me to see legacy acts like W.A.S.P tour and deliver that wild crowd energy, great songs, while being transparent about their use of those backing tracks, I'm gonna go there and have fun. Just like I did when I saw Mötley Crüe and when I saw Kiss. I knew it was fake, but I had fun. What's your take? Are backing tracks a deal breaker for you, or is this just part of modern day shows? Drop a comment below. And if you're liking this video, now might be the perfect time to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, because there's more where this came from and you don't want to miss the next drop. But if you want more right now, then check out this video here. Is there still some passion in Guns N' Roses, or is it just a cash grab by now? And down here, something that YouTube really wants you to see.